Stiglianos. Tell me what it's like to be a married couple, artists.
It's very inspiring, and it's wonderful to have a partner who understands the desire to make art, the need to make art, the obsession to make art.
Definitely obsession.
And can understand the ups and downs of that career, and support it. But I think that what's really great is that we have an intersection of interests, but we also have our separate paths. Mm-hmm. So they both they're different, but they kind of weave together on certain points.
Yeah, you can see that in our work, how different they are. But there really are a lot of connections, even in our work, that looks that different. And, we moved our studios home years ago when our daughter was born. And Stephanie's in the attic, and I'm in the basement. Mm. And I basically work alone all the time, but we meet each other at different times. Stephanie will call me up to the attic. She'll come down to the basement and see what I'm doing. There are only two people that I actually show my unfinished work to, and Stephanie's one of them. And there's another odd thing that even though I'll work alone for hours, I work better if Stephanie's in the attic.
Interesting.
Yeah, but the same thing's happening here. We're together like 24 hours a day practically. There's no school to rush off to or classes to teach or anything like that interfering. Yeah. And it's frankly been really nice.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. When you're in art school, everybody around you thinks they're going to be an artist, and everybody around you has opinions. And they would all do things differently. There's not a right way. They would all do everything differently. But I think that at this point, we understand each other, and we know enough about each other's work that we're sort of on the inside of a process, even though it's not a process that we do. So I think that helps a lot.
Good point.
Yeah. And, some people will give their opinion, and then I'm thinking about it while I'm working, and I don't want to do that. I just, it's hard enough to get my teachers' voices out of my head.
A long time, I showed Chuck how to sharpen tools, but then he got better at it, and now he sharpens tools for me.
And that's like the book binding. I actually took a book binding class when I was in school. And I showed Stephanie what I learned in that class. It was like one type of binding. And within a week, you were doing different things with it. And you did that Love Seat book and then some other things.
The what?
Love Seat book. Remember, it had two covers and one open one way. And
right. It's called Dos-O-Dos, like back to back, or Dos-O-Do.
Yeah, and that was just within the first week. And since then, it's the thing I showed her was like 1/18 of 1% of what you're doing with it now.
But it's about telling stories visually, which is what you do too, but you have it in one image, whereas I have sequential images that people can flip through.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Or in printmaking is similar because I develop something through proofs, and they get better and better, or they become variations on a theme.
Yeah.
I really loved making beautiful, tiny things, but they couldn't be tinier and more perfect, and that became kind of limiting. Plus, gold was very expensive, and people would buy things. They wanted something very expensive, and I wanted to make art, so there was that basic conflict.
You were bent over and focusing all day.
Hurting my eyes, hurting my neck. But I did, before I stopped making jewelry, I did make this piece. Can I talk about that? Yeah. I made it. It was a beautiful little envelope that opened up. It was hinged, and it had 4 love letters inside. And so I had made the love letters for someone else.
It was all silver and copper.
Yeah, who didn't quite appreciate them. But then I went to sell it, and Chuck's then girlfriend bought it.
Oh, I bought it for
you.
her.
Bought it. I'm sorry. This is why I will never tell your life story. I'll never get it right. Anyhow, Chuck got it for the girlfriend, and so I got paid, and then later we got together, so I got my favorite piece back, and I got the guy, and I got paid. So I was like, yes, score.
The hat trick.
Yeah, she said, the girlfriend, Amy, she said, now that you've gone out with Stephanie, maybe you want that piece back. And she traded me for some drawings that I had done.
Yeah.
So.
But that piece had roller printing, so I had made some different sawed out areas that created an impression through the roller press, and so that was like my first printmaking, because it was also acid etched on the back. So I think that was telling a story with text and image.
You also made a book where you used the wood blocks themselves as pages, and you made silver hinges for it.
True, copper and silver
very
hinges.
cool.
And
Very cool.
the woman who was the curator at the Fog bought that. I was like, yes, okay, this is good. I'm going to keep making books.
It's a good sign.
Yeah.
And yourself, Chuck?
What was the question?
Working in different things, how is it in different mediums? How has it informed you now?
If anything. For years, I was working, and I was trained to work in clay, and I had a really good anatomy teacher, and he knew a lot about art history too, sculpture history. But I worked in clay, and I would make molds and cast things at the time. But I'd always thought about wood carving. I had a portrait studio in Philadelphia a long time ago with 2 other people, and like Amy would do sculpture, and Larry would do painting, and I would do whatever they wanted. And so somebody wanted a wood carving of a priest, so I did it. Didn't have that much experience with wood carving, and so I did the carving of the priest, and I still had some tools, and so I always thought about going back to it. And then when we moved home, or we moved to our house now, I thought about it again. So it's really 34 years ago I started carving, and for real. And sometimes you start doing something and you realize you can just keep doing it forever.
Yeah.
And you don't know what time it is, and you don't know that you have to go to the bathroom or that you're hungry. Yeah. And that's the way it was. Yeah. So I haven't been too many things like that. Yeah, I agree. Flow state, as they say. Yeah. And, as far as teaching anatomy that you mentioned, it's funny because Haley, a former student, was here last week, and she took the anatomy class. And I said something like, I don't really think about anatomy when I'm working. And she said something like, well, you taught it for 50 years. You don't have to think about it. It's not like you don't work anatomically. Right. It's just part of what you understand. So, So even though the figures I do aren't anatomically realistic now, I guess sometimes they are. And they're close enough that other people think they are. Right. It still affects everything that I do. It must still be ingrained. Yeah, hardwired in. Yeah. Stephanie, I had a conversation with Chuck about the idea of teaching, and he said that he wanted to be a teacher no matter what, and that was his first thing. And I was surprised by that. How did you get into teaching? How do you feel about it as its own way of life, practice?
Well, I didn't actually want to be a teacher, but when I was in grad school, Henry Isaacs, who was the printmaking professor, thought that I would be a good teacher and organized the situation so I could be a teacher's assistant and then get paid to teach classes as a grad student. And it turned out I did like it, and it was pretty fun, and especially in printmaking, because it's a very collaborative situation. Everyone's working together towards a common goal and sharing things. So that has been very helpful for me. It's like a nice antidote to the loneliness of the artist in the studio. Right, the solitude. Yeah. Collaboration is the collaborating with students and imparting knowledge is probably one of the greatest rewards. Would you guys say that's true? I think it is, but it really goes both ways, because
if you're doing it right, you work really hard to give your students the best experience and right information. And so you're learning even while you're teaching. It's not just stuff you already know that you're telling them. So you're learning new stuff all the time. You're finding different ways to approach it. Like even in anatomy, where the species hasn't mutated since I started teaching. So it's not like I have to learn new information, but I have to learn different ways of saying it. So I would go through different anatomy books. But the students would use it in different ways. So they might in the anatomy class be doing what I told them about, but then when I see their work outside of the class, they're taking that information and they're using it in really interesting and different ways.
Coming from Malden, a little bit city-bound, North Shore, how has it been coming down for our residency program in Hyannis?
Now, I'm a convert. I think that the Cape is great. There's a million beaches. We've gone to a different one every night. And they're wild and open and quiet and just so pristine and beautiful, so many of them. And then the other ones are full of happy children and happy families enjoying the basic things of life, like water, sunshine, and togetherness. So that's it's been very pleasant.
We had so much more time just devoted to being in a studio, which is what I think a residency should be about anyway, and working together too. I had a really good time. Yeah,
I've really enjoyed opening our studios to the public. They're from all over. We've had people from Europe, and there's someone from Morocco. Then there's people from Hyannis. There's locals. It's just great to be able to converse with people about your art.